Hello, everyone. We're here today to share some exciting news around how to drive growth in today's crazy world. I'm Dave Bassuk, and I'm joined by Sonia Lapinksy. We're two of the leaders of the AlixPartners retail practice. And before we jump in, I actually want to share a pretty crazy story of what happened to me this weekend. My kids asked me to go on a roller coaster this weekend. Now, like you, I've been in lockdown for 18 months, so I was pretty much up for anything. So we head to the theme park and we head to the roller coaster, and it was really kind of like three different stories or three different stages. We get on. I'm feeling pretty good about this, even though I don't like roller coasters. We head up the initial climb. I hear all the crazy noises. I'm feeling all the energy, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. But we get to stage two, a huge drop. My stomach is in my throat, way worse than I thought, much longer than I thought. And we come to the bottom. We start coming up the top. I've got my hands in the air. I'm looking at my kids. I'm feeling like I can handle this. And we get to stage three. I'm feeling good, but all of a sudden, we hit two loops. We spin 3 times, and it's all over. I'm sweating. I'm sick. I know this was a disaster, and it was a mistake. So we get off, and I say to my kids, I'm going to sit on this park bench for a while. You head through the park. Come back for me in about a half an hour. And as I lay there trying to recover, I realize this is what all of you have been going through. We've actually been on a roller coaster in a similar way for the last 18 months. If we look back pre-pandemic, what seems now like a pretty easy time, we're all kind of climbing up that hill. And in hindsight, it was pretty straightforward and pretty easy compared to what we're living with today. Then we hit the lockdown and, of course, the rebound. And we've gotten through that. But now we're in stage 3. And I can tell you that there's a lot of loops ahead. There's a lot of craziness ahead. And the answer, and we're going to get into this, the answer for how to handle this is agility. So let me get to what we're going to share today. What we're going to get into today are 3 key things. First, we're going to define agility and explain why it's so important. Second is we're going to really tell you about different combinations of how to make this work and how the industry should be adopting it. And third, we will leave you with specific unlocks and strategies for you to take away. So first, let's talk about agility. The term agility means many different things to many different people. In our world, there's 3 aspects of agility. First is breaking down silos or rethinking the teams and the structures. Second is you've got to operate fast. And third is you have to integrate insights, new data and new insights, and we'll talk about how to do that. But within those 3 areas, there are 12 key strategies and actions and levers you need to employ. Now remember these 12, remember these numbers. Sonia is going to bring them up throughout the session, and you'll see these coming back later. But more broadly, and kind of more in AlixPartners fashion, we have coined a term AgilityEQ, which is a quantifiable and actionable metric that allows a company to measure and understand their ability to respond in this crazy world and really operate with agility. So how have we done this? We've been actually studying this for a number of years. Not only studying it, but we've been working with companies and being inside and seeing how this works for a number of years. In fact, we've been on this stage together talking about this. This is our 3rd time bringing this to life and sharing this with you. And we've done that through talking to hundreds of executives, pulling apart the data from many retailers, and helping to really understand what is it that is working or not. What we've seen is there are many aspects of agility that many companies in the industry have really gained a lot of ground in, and there's a number of other areas that we're falling way short, and we're not getting there. So let's go to the details and explain to you where we are today. The chart you're looking at now shows on the top line, these are the companies with high agility or high agility EQ. And the ones on the line below them are the more traditional lower agility companies. And what you see here is that on average, agility pays dividends. The companies with higher agility on average have had 400 or 500 basis points of better profitability than their more rigid counterparts. But the real interesting findings come by looking at the 3 different stages. If you look at the first stage back pre-pandemic, it was pretty clear. the leaders were really gaining ground. You can see in the slope of the line that they were pulling ahead and agility was really working. In stage 2, during the pandemic and the disruption we faced, it was a humongous change and a great difference that those agile companies, no surprise, really outperformed their traditional counterparts. The surprising thing is that in the space we're in now, in kind of today's environment, what we're seeing are some pretty surprising results. The lines are converging. So either the leaders are reverting back to old practices, or the more traditional companies have woken up and seen the light. But either way, what we're really seeing and what we really need to appreciate is that the combination of strategies that worked in the past no longer works. There's a whole new recipe, a whole new combination. And Sonia is actually going to take us through what that looks like. Sonia?
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. That's a pretty dramatic graphic you showed. But I think you'll agree that if we think about the retail disruption in phase 3, it's actually not that surprising that the lines are converging. The pandemic absolutely shook consumers. It accelerated trends that are unlikely to revert, and it put the consumer in the power seat. It gave them a digitally savvier experience and gave them many more options of how they wanted to buy. What we see and what we've created is a consumer that expects more than ever before, and they give back just about nothing in terms of loyalty, that is. The consumer expects true personalization. They want you to know how to talk to them and what they want before they do. It's no longer enough to send them an email with their name on it. They're also expecting a seamless experience. They're so demanding in this respect that they want to tell you what they want, when they want to buy it, and even when they want to pay for it. Can you believe, Dave, that the penetration of buy now, pay later increased from 38 to 56% in just 1 year? It's pretty bananas. And with all that, despite everything that you give them, they're willing to jump ship if you don't get the formula exactly right. The right product, the right service, the right experience. Even in footwear, which was typically a much more loyal category, they have to work way harder to secure the customer's loyalty. Well, what we saw, though, from the study that you referred to, Dave, working with retailers for many years and looking at the data, is that agility remains the unlock, despite everything we've seen. It's still the unlock in phase 3. What we've got to do is go back to the 3 pillars and the 12 behaviors that you talked about. But it could be daunting because really there are over 20,000 combinations of behaviors, of agility behaviors. But what we're going to do today is actually share what we're seeing as the top agility combinations. As we go into phase 3, it's all about the right combination of agility behaviors to unlock true performance. So what I'm going to share today is the top 3 agility combinations that we've seen successful retailers deploy. I'm going to take you through those, and then I'm also going to take you through an example, a retailer that has unlocked their own personal combination, LULULEMON. The first one we're going to talk about is consumer-centric agility. Consumer focus is nothing new. We've been talking about focusing on the consumer for years. It's entirely lost its meaning. What we've been missing, though, is the formula. It's the specific behaviors that each retailer needs to deploy to unlock true customer centricity. What we found is that the code is 48912. That's it. Let me just focus there for a minute. It's not some of these behaviors, it's all of them. To unlock true customer centricity, you need to demonstrate all 4. When we look at the data, though, what we find is that most retailers aren't there. They might have been able to accelerate insights, they might have quick decision making, but they're not doing it all together. Let me give you an example of one retailer that you probably know. It's a women's specialty mall-based retailer. They look a little bit like the percentages on the right. They think they're really quick with decision making. They're bringing in customer purchase data and maybe some feedback in terms of insights. And maybe they think they're making better decisions. They know, for example, that the ruche top didn't sell well. They're not going to put it into the line again. But what they don't know is what that customer wants to buy in the next season and potentially next year. They haven't been able to define a cohort of customers and actually predict where they're going. And even if they could, this retailer, this mall-based specialty retailer, has no ability to react. They have no speed models, they have no chase, their development time is so long that even if they had the insights, it wouldn't matter, they would be too late. Let me contrast that with another retailer that we've looked at. It's an accessories conglomerate that you all know very well, many brands together. What this company, this retailer has done is that they've been able to unlock consumer insights, they've integrated across their enterprise and organization, and they have quick decision-making to make sure they're reacting to it. What they did, though, in addition to that, is that they invested in a customer data platform, a CDP, in 2020. And with that new tool, they've been able to create models of customer cohorts and use those models to develop analytics to actually predict where different types of customers are going. Not only that, they have speed models so that once they use these insights, they can not only tailor pricing, promotion, and marketing messages, but they can actually make decisions on product and get product into stores that's winning. They can even contort the assortment in stores ahead of when the customer is even there, so they know where the customer is going. It's incredible. They've had the best operating performance ever. They've increased AUR, and they've driven over 300 basis points in margin expansion. It's an absolutely winning combination. Let's move on to another one. If COVID and the pandemic told us anything, it's that when faced with a crisis, retail can actually move very, very fast. We saw curbside be stood up in weeks instead of months. Once stores opened, BOPUS accelerated faster than ever, and shipping speeds decreased significantly. It was great. We saw retailers sit around Zooms, congratulating each other, giving themselves virtual pats on the back. It really was an agility win. We saw retail rebound during COVID. But something was missing. What happened when we looked a little deeper, we had all of the components it looked like, or at least most of the components. We were deploying digital tools, cross-functional teams were working together to accelerate and give the customer this integrated omni experience that we've been talking about for years. But there was a problem. Retailers had chosen speed over operational excellence. It was the right decision to make at the time, but when we stood back and looked at the profitability, operational profits suffered. We tanked it. There's no way this is a repeatable formula going into phase 4 or into phase 3. What we've missed is the metrics. We have to change the metrics and account for the true cost and the true performance and return of Omni. That's what the Omni engaged effective agility is. You've got to change the metrics, account for not only how you're executing on the seamless experience, but that you're operationally sound and driving profitability at the same time. One more. So what retailers that are really winning understood is that we have to change faster and deliver more than ever before. And the ones who are winning realize that they can't do it alone. And they've developed strategic partnerships to build their capabilities and accelerate them quicker than ever. That's the unlock number 3, 25612. That's the code for partner-enabled agility. What we see when we look, though, at the data, there's 4 components that need to be there, and 3 of them most retailers have got right. The one that they're missing, though, is actually embracing partnerships. I'll give you an example of one that worked, though. Target is known for this. Target was able to partner with Shipt, and they actually turned that into an acquisition in 2017. Target knew they were very much in touch with their customer, and they knew that the last mile shipping was critically important, and they made those investments early. They aligned incentives to make sure that their channels were aligned with the partner, and they were able to deliver this seamless experience. They embedded test and learn to know that they had picked the right partner, and also that the services that they were deploying to their customers were right. And they integrated consumer insights because everything was about the selection on the consumer. What was really incredible, and what's turning into an incredible foresight on Target's perspective now, is that it's turned into an even bigger differentiator. Because their incentives are so intrinsically aligned between the delivery team from Shipt and Target's channels, the delivery team has turned into this secret weapon to drive real loyalty and personalization in the Target customer experience. The Target delivery folks know their customers so well that they're able to make recommendations when products are out of stock. They're even able to upsell them. It's the most amazing loyalty-driven model, so much so that recently, Shipt was estimated to be worth $15 billion in value. If that's not a winning combination, I don't know what is. So we've talked a lot today, Dave. We've shared that we're in phase 3 of disruption. We're not going out of it. We're not getting it out of it anytime soon. We shared 3 winning combinations for agility and performance. And now we want to share a retail example. Lululemon is a retailer that we all know and many of us love, at least their performance would indicate that. And what we're going to share is the specific unlock that Lulu figured out. Lululemon has found their winning agility combination, 3, 5, 6, 12. It's a powerful sequence that harnesses the strong connection of their connected community of customers and their ambassadors, and their innovation-focused test and learn culture, which they use to deliver obsession-worthy product and a seamless connected experience. They make it look easy, but in fact, it's all about that right combination that delivers that experience. Perhaps you've checked it out. Maybe last year you visited one of their 100 holiday pop-ups, stocked up on gifts, then made it home, logged into Sweat Life and joined your favorite global ambassador, Ryan, for a yoga class to reset, restore, and breathe. Or maybe it was during that girls' trip to Chicago last year. You and the ladies spent an entire afternoon at the Lululemon 20,000 square foot emporium. You tried out your favorite Align pants with a scuba hoodie, you modeled them in a meditation class, and then you all descended on fuel for a kale power bowl and a kombucha. Dave, not all Americans are into kale and kombucha like you are.
Not really.
But what we know is that nearly 80% of them have embraced the stay-at-home workout. And this has opened an entire new channel for Lululemon. Lululemon partnered with The Mirror and turned it into an acquisition in 2020. This has become an incredible means for them to interact with their consumers one-on-one in real time and use the insights gleaned from their behaviors online to tailor specific experiences, content, and product to them. It's incredible. In return, the Lululemon guests get to connect with their favorite ambassadors and follow them on workouts day after day from the comfort of their own home. Lululemon is set to expand the shop-in-shops for The Mirror into 200 stores by Christmas, and they're expanding into Canada as well. I personally thought it was pretty darn great to be able to go to my local Kim Prussia, try out The Mirror before I brought it home. Forever, Lulu has connected with their consumer through partnerships with local events, with local communities, and that's how they built this real, loyal grassroots following. And that continues to be part of their DNA going forward. They get that real, committed loyalty that's going to help them get through stage 3. It's pretty incredible. The results show that this has been the winning formula. For Lulu, 3, 5, 6, 12 is the formula that just works. And we can see it in the numbers. Any of these agility behaviors would have really driven performance, but it was the combination of the behaviors that really supercharged it for Lululemon, and the results show it. Lululemon is on track to beat their 2023 revenue projection in 2021. That's 2 years early. They've expanded gross margin by over 300 basis points since 2019 until Q2. And in that same time, their market value has increased by over 2.2 times. Lululemon has the EQ, that EQ we started with, to truly understand their consumer, connect with them, and know exactly how to serve them to get through this phase 3. So Dave, whether your ride is Top Thrill at Cedar Point, Superman at Six Flags, or my personal favorite, being Canadian, the Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland, we all need to become roller coaster enthusiasts. The ride is not over. We've got a long way to go. But what we do know is that the data tells us that there is an agility combination to get through this. It will drive growth and profitability. We have shared the top agility combinations today, and we shared a very specific example of an aspirational retailer who's figured it out. Now it's time for you to find your combination. Once you dial it in, embrace those behaviors, integrate them across the entire organization, focus ruthlessly, then watch the results soar.
Well, I'm still not a huge roller coaster fan, but I do remember my kids saying, "Dad, lean forward." You got to do it. You got to just get on board. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Now we're going to turn it over to questions. We look forward to hearing from you.